Miracles of Modern Technology. My name is Stefan Michaud, and I'll be your lay worship leader for today's service. I warmly welcome you to the First Parish Unitarian Universalist Church in Bridgewater. This week, Reverend Rosemary is leading our service. Our ushers are David Page and Janet Dye, and the coffee hour is hosted by Susan Irish. Before we begin our time of worship, we have some announcements to be made. First of all, there's metal recycling coming up in the fall. As you do your spring cleaning, please save your metal for the drive that will support our local food pantry, and that will be held on Saturday, October 4th. In the more immediate future, there's a raising of the Pride flag tomorrow at 3:30 p.m., presumably, at the Bridgewater Public Library. There's a meeting of the congregation today for election of officers and approval of other church business at noon following the coffee hour following the service. Our clerk, Jan Thompson, reminds us that we need at least 28 of us voting members present in order to have a quorum. And those are people who have signed the register. Finally, David Wilson has an announcement regarding a musical event coming up.
Once again, and I'll do this again next week, Sunday the 7th, we'll have a gospel concert here in the Upper Parish Hall. We hope you can all attend. We have some interesting new performers coming next week. And I already mentioned Pride, which is tomorrow, flag raising, and then again on the 15th, Juneteenth flag raising. So I hope you can join us next Sunday for the Juneteenth concert in the afternoon. Thank you.
First Parish Bridgewater is a welcoming congregation. Love is the power that holds us together. We live our faith values by welcoming all people with love and open hearts. No matter who you are, no matter who you love, and no matter where you are in your spiritual path, you are welcome here. If you're joining us for the first time today, we welcome you to share in our worship today as your whole self. We also encourage you to fill out the guest book at the back of the sanctuary. For newcomers joining us online, please see the sign-up link posted in the Zoom chat. For those of us joining in worship in the sanctuary, let's take a moment to welcome our friends joining us virtually via Zoom this morning. The recording camera is turned off to protect your privacy during the sharing of joys and sorrows. In the event of an emergency, please leave the building through the main sanctuary doors, or should you need a ramp, through the School Street entrance to my left. Thank you for joining in worship today. Whether you join us in person or via Zoom, your presence creates our beloved community of faith. We'll now begin our time of worship with the prelude. Thank you, Denise. We will now have our chalice lighting. If Sam would come forward, and if you would join me in reciting the words that we recite when we light the chalice. We light this chalice to mark this sacred hour as we gather in this beautiful sanctuary, both in body and spirit. We connect to the many generations that have come here to explore the divine. Let us join
our hearts and find the holy in our relationship to each other. It is time to share worship together.
And now the affirmation of our covenant.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to speak the truth in love, and to help one another.
Reverend Rosemary will now deliver the opening words.
Thank you, Stefan. Our opening words this morning are by Reinhold Niebuhr. We must be saved. Nothing worth doing is completed in our lifetime. Therefore, we are saved by hope. Nothing true or beautiful or good makes complete sense in any immediate context of history. Therefore, we are saved by faith. Nothing we do, however virtuous, can be accomplished alone. Therefore, we are saved by love. No virtuous act is quite as virtuous from the standpoint of our friend or foe as from our own. Therefore, we are saved by the final form of love, which is forgiveness. Okay, I'd like to invite up Arya and Hadley to help me with this surprise. Today, we're talking about vocation and work and the work we're called to do in the world. And we are also going to appreciate all of our religious education volunteers who did the work of showing up for our kids this year and making it be a great year in our religious education classes. Okay, Hadley, would you stand by those flowers and give one to everyone? And Arya is going to give you a card. Okay, I'm going to read the names of everyone who volunteered in religious education this year. There are so many of you. Recently, I told a colleague that I have 22 RE volunteers, and they, at their congregation of 450 people, said, "I'm so jealous." So, I brag about you. Jenny is not here, is she? Well, we will appreciate her next week. Jenny Donahue led our religious education program this year, as she did last year. She single-handedly put together the schedule, sent people reminder emails, and led 7 children's chapel services. And we are so grateful to her, and we have flowers for her too. Okay, our religious education volunteers, the rest of them in no particular order, are Victoria Leonard. Come on up. Ginger Irish, Lisa Troy, Angela Shebley, Beth Parlatori, Lori Lesner, Heather Meddy. You can all stay up here. We'll take a picture. Janet Dye, Desiree Krebs, Luella Mann. Hi, Luella. Chloe St. Thomas Lorea. Mark Henderson, who I don't see here today. Carrie Kinnan, Kat Gillespie, Kathy Keenan, and Amanda Napier. Come on up. And Stefan's going to take a picture of you once you're all up here with your flowers. Okay, the rest of us, hearty round of applause. Thank you. Okay, as you make your way back to your seats, no? Oh, we're all smiling and looking at you. Okay, count of three. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Okay, now as you make your way back to your seats, I'd also like to invite Sammy, our wonderful childcare provider, up here. Sammy has been really flexible this year, helping out in our classes, keeping our religious education space neat and clean, and offering her presence when infants, toddlers, and other wiggly ones want to take some space outside of the service. Let's give Sammy a flower and a thank you card too. Thank you, Sammy. I think it's a special card, specially colored for Sammy. I had a short order helper here who I said, "Can you color 20 cards in the next hour?" And she said, "Absolutely." Okay. Thank you, Hadley. I now invite you to rise in, oh, I got one too. I feel so special. To rise in body or spirit. Go sit back down. That's okay. Oh, thank you. I don't know if I technically volunteered in RE. You technically paid me to help you run an RE program, but thank you. Yeah, just leave them there. That's good, thank you. Okay, I invite you to rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn. It's number 6 in your gray hymnal, Just as Long as I Have Breath, and we'll sing all the verses.
Now is the time in the service for the sharing of joys and sorrows. If you have a particular joy or sorrow that you wish to share with the congregation, come forward and light a candle, and please tell us what the matter may be. And if you prefer, you're certainly welcome to light a candle in silence. Those of you on Zoom, you can text in your joy or sorrow with the chat function, and Laurie Lesner will come forward and read it.
I'll do I'll do Aria's first. So Aria wanted to light a candle because she was sad she couldn't see Grandma this weekend because Grandma wasn't feeling well.
Our lives are so rich, so full of things to celebrate, people to support, milestones to mark, gratitude, grief, hope, all mingled together. Just as we come together in community to do the best part of community, the work of governing our church at the annual meeting, we also come together to share our joys and our sorrows, not just the work of church, but the spiritual discipline of being present with one another, with all that is on our hearts. I invite you to take a deep breath and settle into this space. Whether or not you spoke your joy, your sorrow, your complexity to the rest of our congregation today, know that we are with you, you on Zoom too. Know that you are held in this community of care and support, and know that you are loved exactly as you are, exactly as you showed up here today. Please join me in a few moments of contemplative silence, feeling the presence of our community around us. May it be so, and blessed be. Please stay seated as you are, and join me in singing our musical meditation, There is a Love. We'll sing the first verse, There is a Love holding me, and then we'll sing it with the us, we language the second time. And the choir knows it, so we're good. Our reading today is by the wonderful poet Marge Piercy. It's called To Be of Use. The people I love the best jump into work head first without dallying in the shallows and swim off with sure strokes almost out of sight. They seem to become natives of that element, the black seal heads, sleek, bouncing like half-submerged seals. I love people who harness themselves, an ox to a heavy cart, who pull like water buffalo with massive patience, who strain in the mud and muck to move things forward, who do what has to be done again and again. I want to be with people who submerge in the task, who go into the fields to harvest and work in a row and pass the bags along, who are not parlor generals and field deserters, but move in a common rhythm when the food must come in or the fire be put out. The work of the world is as common as mud. Botched, it smears the hands, crumbles to dust. But the thing worth doing, done well, has a shape that satisfies, clean and evident. Greek amaphoras for wine and oil, Hopi vases that held corn are put in museums. But you know, they were made to be used. The pitcher cries for water to carry, and a person for work that is real.
Now is a time in the service when the offertory will be given and received to support the work of this church and to support this month's recipient of our Share the Plate program, which is Kids to Camp. And if you want to know anything about it, there's a little blurb in your order of service.
Even though there's no sermon on your order of service, I'm going to preach. Hope you'll allow it. Two of my friends who I was in divinity school with took a class at Boston University called Vocation, Work, and Faith. And the intro paragraph for the class starts, "Who am I called to become? What am I called to do? What are my gifts, and where will they be recognized and of service?" The class was a structured exploration of these questions in the context of the vocation of religious leadership. And my friends who took the class said it was by far the most useful and interesting class they took in divinity school. It hovered right above all we were doing with this bird's eye view at what it might mean to do the work of ministry in the world, what vocation is, how it intersects with, well, having a job, and where our calling is amidst all of that. I am someone who is so lucky in many ways, but I feel especially lucky to have found this vocation of parish ministry. The kind of meaningful work that spills out into the contours of my life. It provides a layer of richness and healthy perspective and meaning to me every day. In Christian circles, vocation is understood as the particular work in the world that God calls you to. But I think this word is so useful and has applications outside of this theist or Christian understanding of it. I don't know if I've talked about calling much from this pulpit. I don't remember in 2 years of sermons. The calling to the ministry, a term we use a lot, the idea that someone or something is telling you that this is the right vocation for you to take up in your life. I do feel called to this vocation of ministry, maybe because I've had to write about where my calling came from so much for my credentialing work. But I feel called mostly not by a sense of the divine, but by love found amidst community. Before I started seminary 6 years ago, I remember having this kind of deep, admiring envy of all clergy people who I interacted with, especially ministers. This job seemed kind of abstract, definitely aspirational, and I thought I felt called to it. But as I've grown in my career, my sense of calling has grown richer and more complex, as the ideals of the work bump up against the day-to-day tasks. One of my friend's minister mentors, Claire Feingold Thorne, described ministry to this friend of mine as something that you have to like as a job, not just be called to. I think we've all heard stories of preachers who might consider themselves prophets and not congregational administrative supporters, who might consider themselves present pastorally, but absent in the social justice committee meeting. And I think the intersection of these two ideas, something you like as a job that you're good at, willing to develop the skills to do, and something that follows your values and calls you into service of the world. I think at the intersection of those two things is a vocation. But work in our society is complicated. Those of us who work for pay often are underpaid in jobs that contribute the most to the well-being of our communities. There are a lot of teachers in this room. I would double it if I could. And the jobs that seem like they don't make an impact in our society other than to generate profit are often the best paid. How unequal. How far from all of us being able to find a vocation that we love, that gives meaning and structure to our lives, and spend our days buoyed by that work. Reverend Claire Wolftyke, who taught this Boston University class on work and vocation, writes that work and vocation are connected. Work is a critical religious question in our contemporary society, and it exerts a powerful and often unrecognized influence on human beings. It can support life, develop talents, elicit creativity, and enable people to contribute to the common good. But work can also demean human beings, undermining their dignity, perpetuating unjust structures, overpowering values, and crowding out other important spheres of life. I recently, in all honesty, did not read this book. I listened to a podcast episode about the book, but listened to a podcast episode about a book that's kind of an airport bestseller. And since Hadley's in the room, I'll call it Bullcrap Jobs, is what the book is called. And in this book, the author looks at this phenomenon of jobs that don't really exist for any purpose in our society. Not just jobs that are hard, like picking the harvest on the farms or working in a meat processing plant or cleaning buildings, because those are the definition of essential. But what this book writes about are jobs that exist just to exist, maybe. Here's one example. The book talks about a woman who works for a retirement community. And her job is to interview the new people in the retirement community and fill out paperwork about their activity preferences. And then she files that paperwork, and then she interviews the next person, and that paperwork lives in the filing cabinet forever. And those does not affect the activities of the retirement community. It is work for the sake of having something to do. It is work for the idea that we ask people what activities they would like to do in the retirement community, and then is left right there. It's kind of bullcrap. But this book is complicated because so many of the jobs that pay well are the tippy-tappy on the computer kind, not the pick the strawberries and feed them to your community kind. And so it's complicated to sort out when we're in the workplace or in our homes. Am I doing something really meaningful? Am I called to this work of sitting at a computer? Am I called to this work of caring for my family? My academic advisor in graduate school is Dr. Dan McCannon. And since I graduated, I have been the lucky recipient of his 3 to 7 page holiday letters. He is an academic. He's a historian. And he writes this really incredible, thoughtful holiday letter each year that he sends. He is a thoughtful, practical, and value-centered kind of guy, and a historian by training, which means his holiday letters sometimes read like a theologically reflective essay, summing up what his family has done for the year. The one this year was really weird. This is an aside. It was called Rat, Cat, Splat, Drat. It explored those 4 themes. It was awesome. But a few years ago, more to the point of this sermon, the theme for his letter was the work we are called to do, in which he described the work that he, his wife, and his daughter were undertaking in the world. The daughter, college-aged, was called to study. She had chosen a school with an intense on-campus community, and she was diving into her studies and community life as a college student. Dan's wife, Tammy, was called to caretaking. Her mother was unwell, and she spent her days and weeks caring for her mother, being present. She also officiated a wedding for the first time, which she was called to do by the couple who asked her to marry them. And Dan was called out of what he considered his vocation, teaching history, into the administrative work of the university, filling in a program director role that nobody else could take, and that indeed he did have the skills to do. I think about this letter all the time, this lens of our lives of what is the work we are called to do, what have we done with our good days. I think really we all have the potential to be called to a vocation, to work that pairs our values with a meaningful contribution to the world. I was talking to a colleague of mine from Divinity School yesterday, and they work at the Attleboro Interfaith Collaborative. And they went to Divinity School to figure out if they could convince themselves not to go to rabbinical school, to just go to Divinity School and then maybe not be called to that vocation of being a rabbi. Rabbinical school is so long, it's like 6 years, a calling, a vocation. And they talked about, this friend of mine talked to me about how meaningful it is to have work that mirrors their values, even if it isn't that big stretch goal of dedicating 6 more years of their life to study and become a rabbi. Maybe this friend said, this is where I'm meant to be. Maybe this is where I'll end up. Maybe this is where these things of good, meaningful, paid work intersect in my life. I was also thinking of the artists among us, so many of them. I have an incredibly talented artist friend, and she works in museum fundraising. And she pays the rent on her art studio and does her creative practice because she has that job that pays her to help make art accessible for other people. Many, many people find vocation in the unpaid and unrecognized labor of caring for family, caring for ourselves, learning. I think we can all say that our children, their vocation is to learn and to play, to grow, to be curious, and to explore. It's a hard question, the question of vocation, not for me, but for me to say to you, as someone who feels so passionate about the work that I do, so lucky to be doing it for a living, and who I think I would feel completely unmoored without it. And so may we all find ways to make our values manifest in our lives and in the world. Dorothy Day puts it this way: we can throw our pebble in the pond and be confident that its ever-widening circle will reach the world. Whatever your pebble looks like, I hope that those ripples will be positive, that you'll find a pebble to throw, and that you'll find a way to center love, work, calling, vocation, and curiosity as you move through your life. May it be so. Please join me in singing hymn number 121, We'll Build a Land. Denise, should we do verses like 1 and 4? We'll do verses 1 and then 4, because I'm looking at the clock and I'm thinking about our meeting and our work. Okay. Please rise.
We'll
As we go forth from this place, let's notice the work we are called to do in the world, be it unloading the dishwasher, caring for a friend, lending a listening ear, or waking up each day with a deep sense of some purpose. Amen.
Please join now in reciting the words that we speak together when we extinguish the chalice every week. We extinguish this flame,
The light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. So fun. Our time for worship has ended, and our time for fellowship will now begin for the next 30 minutes exactly, at which time you will find yourself right back where you were in your pew for our annual meeting. Next week, we will be celebrating Pride with our annual Pride Sunday service, and Rin Bolin and I will be leading that. Go off.
you know who are the most employees in this economy?
Home health care aides.
That's gross. There's a category that's even worse.
Tip workers.
EMTs,
Oh, God, right?
paramedics, ambulance drivers.
Oh.
A lot of them at minimum wage. It's pathetic. These are the people who are in charge of starting you up if your heart stops. Minimum wage.
I was going to ask if any more an indulgence, a real indulgence. I was going to ask for a closing song. Actually, it's 4th of July.